Hello. So the goal for this video is I am going to show you how to use Rally for managing an Agile Scrum project. So most companies will either be using Jira or will be using Rally. These are probably the two most common Agile Scrum project management tools used in the industry. So I am going to walk you through a trial version that I have subscribed to, and all of you can do the same as well. So what you see here is the admin section of Rally. So pretty much if you click on here, there are workspaces which could be set up as your projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you right from A to Z as to how we set up Rally to set up an Agile project. And once the project is set up, how do we use it in real time at work on a day-to-day basis. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to create a new project. So I'm going to give the name of the project as an e-commerce portal. Let me just give new e-commerce portal, or I'll just, let's say if I'm creating a newer version, I'm re-engineering that, I'm going to give that a name as e-commerce 2.0. It has some required fields that we want to set up. So the time zone that we are in is EST. Date format, I want that as MMDDYYYY. Time format. My typical work days are Mondays to Fridays. Now, there are some prefixes that I used in the tool. So a user story will have a prefix of a US. A defect will have a prefix of a DE. A task will have a prefix of TA. Test cases will have a prefix of TC. If you then recall, there is something known as story points. So story points over here are referred as plan estimates, and they have a prefix. They don't have a prefix, pretty much. They here have units. So since it is story points, the units are in points. That's the unit for the story points. And task estimate, which indicates how much time does it take for them to do something, that is an hour for that. So these are some things that you should be aware of. So once I have all this, I am going to save and close. And what this will do is it's going to set up a new workspace for us. So if you see here, we now have a new workspace e-commerce portal. So this is right from zero. And then the very first thing we want to do in the workspace is we can, again, if you see here, there's an edit icon. So if you go here, we go to projects. By default, they have a project called a sample project. So what we do is we open that, and then we say I want to edit, and we want to give the name of this sample project. We'll call it an e-commerce portal 2.0. So I'm going to rename this to e-commerce portal 2.0. I'm going to save and close. So what we have done is we have created a workspace. That's the very first thing. And within the workspace, we have then created a project. Now, if you want to set up an Agile Scrum project, the very first thing you need to do is you need to start setting up releases. So let us see how to do that. All right, so in order for us to set up releases, we'll first exit out from this admin of the workspace. So we click on exit. We want to make sure that we are in e-commerce 2.0. For some reason, it still is showing sample project, which it should not. Let's just go and check the workspace to make sure the name has been updated. All right, I see it has been updated, so that should be good. So exit, I am in 2.0. I then want to go to track, and then I want to go to, I go to portfolio, and I'm going to do I need to iteration status. There we go. So we go to track, we go to iteration status. Now there has been nothing defined. So there's no iterations. Now what are iterations? Iterations here are referred to sprints. So we don't have sprints defined. Why? Because sprints will only be defined once we have releases defined. So we first want to go to release status. So let's go and check release. We have nothing scheduled here. We can go to release metrics to see what it is. There's nothing much here. I go to release planning here. There's nothing much in release planning because nothing has been set up. Release tracking, nothing here. So I'm just trying to show you all the different views you can see in a way for you to identify how do I set up a release. So I don't want you to memorize anything. It has to be a process where you click things and you understand what section is for what. So I go to plan, I go to time boxes. Let's see what time box is. I see iterations, releases, milestones. So I click on releases, I have nothing defined, but I see an option where I can add something. So what I need to do here is I need to click on add and see what this is for. So when I click on add, it allows me to set up a release. This is exactly what I want to do. So my project is e-commerce portal 2.0, the name of my release. So let us open up a calendar. So my structure is, it is a monthly release in my Agile Scrum. And the way I want to set this up is I have 2-week sprints, and in a release, I'll have 2 sprints. So let's say if I'm starting up my Agile project in October, my first day is October 1st, and I want to have a release on my release should be on a Wednesday, and it's a 2-week sprint. So my first 2-week sprint is Thursday, October 1st to Wednesday, October 14th. My second sprint is October 15th to October 28th. So my release start day is October 1st. My release end day is October 28th. So let us go and set this up. So I'll give my release name as October 28 because that's when the release is, 2020. My start date is October 1st. My end date is October 28, and I am in my planning phase. I'm going to create my first release. I want to have couple of releases in there so you can get a feel of how the actual project will be set up eventually in Rally. So I'm going to add couple of more releases. My next release is in November. So let us look at the dates. So it'll start on October 28th and it'll be released on November 25th. So October 29th to November 25th. So go back to Rally. So it's November 25, 2020. It'll start on October 29. It's going to end on November 25th. Now, if this were a real-time scenario, I would be cognizant of when my Thanksgiving is, because it's going to be right around this area. So I may do, and let's make it realistic. So let's check out the date, Thanksgiving 2020. So it's on November 26th. So I think I am okay. I should be able to finish up my release. Nonetheless, it might impact the other release. So what I'll do is I'm going to have a 5-week sprint in this case. So I am going to make December 2nd. That's what I'll do here. But you know what? Let's just stick for learning purposes to what it is so that you don't get confused. So I'll leave it to November 25th. Move this to a planning. I'm going to create. Oops, I lost it. I'll add another one. November 25, 2020. Start October 29th. And November 25th. Planning. Create. And then my last release. What would be the date for my last release? Let's check it out. So it's going to start on November 26th. It's going to end on December 23rd, right before Christmas. So I'm good. So I'm going to give the name December 23, 2020. Create. So now what I have is I've created my releases. The next thing is I want to now create sprints. So each month I'll have 2 sprints and each sprint will be 2 weeks long. So now rather than a release, I'm going to talk about iterations. So iterations are nothing but they refer to sprints. So I click on my first iteration. So let's check out the dates. So my first iteration is going to start on October 1st. It's a 2-week iteration, so it's going to end on October 14th. And the way I want to name this is my release name here is October 28th. So I'll say October 28, 2020, Sprint 1. Planning, I'm going to create this. Again, October 28, 2020, Sprint 2. The dates are October 15th to October 28th. So I'm done with the 2 sprints for my October release. Now my November release is November 25, 2020, Sprint 1. The dates for which starts on October 29. It ends on November 11th. Planning phase. Create. My next sprint, November 25, 2020, Sprint 2. It's going to go from November 12th and on November 25th. And then my last sprint, I believe, is December 23. So December 23, 2020 underscore sprint 1, which will start on November 26th, which will end on December 9th. And then the last sprint for December release starts on December 10th, ends on December 23rd. Alright, so what have we done till now is we have created releases. For releases, we have created iterations, which is nothing but the sprints. And then we now are pretty much set up in terms of the entire project. So the next thing your actual project will start, and the first thing that needs to be done to set up an agile project is we want to start creating a backlog. So what is a backlog? A backlog is a list of to-dos which needs to be done. When needs to be done will be decided in the business prioritization meeting. So if I have to create a backlog, I go to plan and I go to backlog. So right now I see nothing in the backlog. So this is going to be an e-commerce project. So we'll add more than couple of backlog items. So we want to add, my first work item is everything is added as a user story initially in the backlog. So the first thing we'll say is ability to register, and we'll say ability for online user to register. Second, ability for user to log in. And I could be a little bit more detailed. I can say registered user to log in. Ability for user to search product. Ability for user to view product details. Ability for user to add a product to favorites. Ability for user to remove a product from favorites. Ability for user to add a product to a cart. Ability for a user to view cart details. Ability for user to remove to remove a product from the cart. Ability for user to add credit card details to the account. Ability for user to remove a credit card associated with an account. Ability for user to add a shipping address. Ability for user to remove a shipping address. Ability for user to check out a product. Ability for user to view order history. Ability for user to return a purchased product. Ability for user to return an entire order. So if you look at the backlog, we have about 17 items in the backlog. In a real time, a backlog could have 100, 200, 300 items. It just keeps on going and growing. So now what happens, the very first thing that's going to happen is the business analyst is going to conduct a meeting which is referred as a business prioritization meeting. So on a monthly basis, I'll conduct a business prioritization meeting. I'm going to call in subject matter experts, and the homework that the subject matter experts would have done before coming into the meeting is they would have reviewed this backlog. So they would have reviewed the backlog and they would have identified what are the 14 items they need delivered in the next release, which is October 28th. So they come with a cheat sheet and they'll say that they need US1 to be delivered. So the moment they say they need US1 to be delivered, I can click on US1, pops in the details for the user story. It pretty much is blank, has not much details. And the only thing I'm doing right now in this meeting is I'm going to open the drop down. Now, what are the options when I open this drop down? This is the release option. So it's going to show me the releases that I've configured. So the releases are October 28th, November 25th, December 23rd. And since I'm doing this for my, it's showing some duplicate releases from my prior projects. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be associating this with October 28th, sprint 1, November 25, sprint 2, and December 23. So I believe I have made a typo. So let me first go and fix that before we go in and work on this. So if I go to plan, if I go to time boxes, I have a couple of duplicate releases. So let me first delete the ones which I don't wish to be using. So if I open this up, I want to delete this, I want to delete this, click on delete and gets deleted. So October 28th, November 25th, and I want this to be edited, name, and I want the name as December 23 underscore 2020 underscore sprint 3. So I'm doing this the multi-edit way. I can also do this independently because I'm only selecting one release. So I could just simply double click, I could just click here and I could have changed the name here and it just fixes the name. So I fixed the issues and now I'm going to go back to the backlog. So now assuming I'm in the business prioritization meeting and they want to have this user story to be delivered next release, I also want to show you something else. So let me see if I can pull that up. You know what, we'll do that later on. All right, so I go to US1, I want that to be applied to. So if I go to the releases option, I'm going to select October 28th. Now, right now, if you see, you'll see US1 being here. The moment I'm going to click, I'm going to change this to October 28th, sprint 1, and I click save. This user story will no longer remain in the backlog, and instead it's going to go to the folder for October 28 release. So I click on save and it just removes this user story. So again, I can do the same for US2. They are saying that, so I can again go here, change the release to October 28th. It's going to move that. So this tool also has amazing thing in terms of I could also do a multi-edit. So let's say I want the next 12 user stories to be moved to the bucket of October 28th. I've selected all of them. I click on edit. It's now asking me what is it that I want to edit. So I want to select the field name, which is release. And I want them to be moved to October 28th. I click on apply. So when I do that, all those 14 product backlog items have now shifted to the bucket of October 28 release. So if you would like to see where they are, you can go to track, release status. If you see here, it says unscheduled because this is the backlog. If I change it to October 28, it shows me the scope that we have for the October release. Now, what needs to be done is we have not yet associated this with anything else in terms of this is the unscheduled and then we have the scheduled. We now want to add requirements to that and we now want to put them into the buckets of iterations. So that is the next thing that we shall be doing. So in the real world, when you have this 14 user stories with you, what you plan to be doing in this period is you now will be setting up meetings with SMEs and you want to gather requirements on how this needs to be done. I want to show you something fun. I wanted to show you how can you do some real-time edits using softwares so you can manage the look and feel of the applications as well. So in order for us to do that, I'm just going to do a cheat sheet and I'm going to say, we'll assume that the portal already exists and we are on the checkout page and we'll say that they want an ability for us to apply a promo code. So let me just change something. I'm going to just change this US7 user story. I'm going to open this up. And I'm just going to say ability for user to add a promo code. So we can do something different beyond login and I want to show you how to use some other tools to do some real-time screen mockups. So you can also manage the look and feel of the application. So you can bring it as close as you can to the real world scenarios. So what I'm showing you here is Amazon.com. So let's say for Amazon.com, you are on the checkout page and you have an option of placing an order. You have an option of entering the gift card or a promotion code or a voucher. Now, let's assume that this is only for a gift card and so we'll assume that this box is not there and you have to assuming that you don't see this box and you want to create a real time screen mockup of how you would do that. So the first thing you want to do, or let me just be a little bit more innovative and we can say uh, let's say that it's just so this is for a gift card and we'll create a separate box for promo code. So let us see Now the business says that currently it's everything one, but they want two separate things. So let us see how to do that. So the first thing we will do is I'll take a screenshot of the current page. So I go here and you can just grab a screenshot. On your keyboard, you have an option to print screen. If you have a Mac, you can do a Shift Command 4. And if you have Windows, you have a print screen option. So pretty much you would get a screenshot, something like this. And then there is a tool called Snagit. It's just like Paint. So you can go to Snagit. And what I now want to do is I want to create the screen mockups in such a way that it looks almost real time. So I copy this here and I paste this here. Now what the business told me is they should only talk about gift card and not about promo. So so it's all about creating a neat screen mockup. So I'm just going to again patch this up. I want to do it so that nothing else gets seen. And then this will be apply gift card. And now I want to change this as well. It should be saying enter code. It should say let me first finish this here. So this is apply gift card, and over here this will be apply promo code. Now this here becomes gift card number. I want to make it a grayish color. If I want to be consistent, and over here I'll say promo code. And then let's say they want to call this button not apply, but they want to rename this button as apply promo code. So what I can do is I can copy, I can go here, I can paste this here. Now I want to make this button, I'll first flatten it so it does not move. Now what I want to do is I want to keep the same look and feel. So I'm resuming this, and then I am going to copy just the gray area from here. I'm pasting it and I'm going to apply it here. And I'm going to flatten it. And then I can make this bigger. I can flatten that, and then I can write here apply promo code. Make this smaller in size, and the color is black. Stays here. So now, if you look, this is how close you can make your wireframe to look like the real application, and you can put this in your user story or whatever format of requirements document. So this is a nice way to update your screen mockups if you're making an enhancement to an existing application. So you can manage the look and feel of the application in the right way. All right, we took a slight detour, but I'm pretty sure this will help you a lot at work. Going back to where we were, so now I gather my requirements and then I open up this user story. And now I have my requirements ready. So I want to write it in the format of a user story. So where it says the name, I'll say as an online user, I want an ability to apply a promo code. I want to apply a promo code while I check out so that I have an ability to get a discount. And then over here is where I write my acceptance criteria. So my first is display the following two options. And you can also say refer it, see attached wireframe. And it has an ability that you could insert a table. So we want a table. So I'm going to write my UI requirements here. So my columns will be field name, field type, whether it's a required field name, field type, data type, required or not, minimum character, maximum character, and notes. So I need 7 columns, 3 rows, and my first row is going to be my header. I click on OK. So my first is field name, field type, required, data type, minimum character, maximum character, notes. So my first field name is apply promo code, field type text box, required, no, data type. I know that my promo code will be a mix of alphanumeric. So alphanumeric. I know that my promo codes will always have a 5-digit, minimum 5, maximum 5. I don't have any notes. And what was the other thing I wanted to add? Apply promo. So the second thing is apply promo. That's a command button. So I could also say button. Required, no. Data type, not applicable. With minimum characters, not applicable. Not applicable. that's my step number 1. Display the following 2 options. Number 2, upon entering the promo code and clicking apply promo button, I just made this a little bit big, and when I made this big, I lost the user story that I created. So I'm going to write my acceptance criteria once again here so we can see this properly. Number 1, display the following 2 options on the checkout page. See attached wireframe. And then I'm going to be inserting tables. I'll just have 6 columns. I don't need notes here. I have 3 rows. My first, so field name, field type, character type, required, minimum character, maximum character. My first field is apply promo code, text box, alphanumeric, not required, minimum 5, maximum 5. Apply promo, command button, not applicable, not applicable. So this is no, not applicable. So that's step number 1. Number 2, upon entering a promo code and clicking apply promo button, system shall validate the promo code. If valid, go to next step. If invalid, display the following error message: invalid promo code. And the next step is system applies the promo code and updates the price based on the promo code incentive. So that is your complete acceptance criteria. You click on save. So we were on release plan. So we were on the release status. So one thing that needs to be done is we need to change this in the format of a user story because it got the name, but I am not able, it did not update the name. It has the acceptance criteria, but has not yet updated the name. So the name is here. So I could say as a online user. I want an ability to apply a promo code during checkout so that I can get a discount on the purchase and save it. So pretty much once you have finished your business prioritization meeting, you if there are 14 items, you have to go and meet the SMEs, gather the requirements, and convert this backlog items into a user story. Now, the day one of the sprint, the first thing you have to do is you need to conduct a sprint planning meeting. So, who all are present in the planning meeting? You have the entire development team. Now, in Agile, the development team refers to everyone. So it's you have the developers, the testers, the DBA, everyone's referred as the development team. So what you do during the planning meeting is you open this user story and you walk them through the user story and you explain them what the ask is. You ask if they have any questions related to this. If there are no questions, the next thing you want to do is you want to assign resources as to who would be doing the coding, who would be doing the testing. So basically what you have to do is you end up creating tasks for this. So the first task to implement the user story is someone will have to implement the code. And in the owner, you write down the name of the tester who said that I'll work on this story. So you say implement code. The next thing you want to do is you want to create test cases for this. You want to identify the name of the tester who volunteered to test this story. You click on create. And the third task would be execute test cases, which is you have to perform testing. And again, it will be the same owner who worked on writing the test cases, and you click on create. So you pretty much have created the tasks. Another thing you want to do is they'll also give you story points for this. So story points are estimates. So you have an option of plan estimate. So let's say this is a story point number 5. So you put it as a 5. And then you click on save. So another thing which I forgot is this is your sprint 1. So we have not yet assigned this to this sprint. So as a part of this meeting, we already have a release, but in this meeting, this is the sprint 1. So I'm going to say October 28, sprint 1. And you click on save. So when you do this, this user story will now be added to iteration 1, which is sprint 1 for October 28. So at the end of this planning meeting, you'll have probably 7 user stories. This release has altogether 14 stories. So in sprint 1, you want to deliver 7 stories. So you'll pretty much have 7 stories assigned. Now, while your team is working for sprint, this tool also has a view where you can see the progress of the user stories for that sprint. So pretty much if you go to track and if you go to iteration status, and if you go to the board view, ideally you'll have 7 user stories listed here. Now, the moment you finish off the planning meeting, what happens then is the developers will move the moment they start working on this user story. The developer will move it to in progress. So any user story which is in progress means it is currently being coded. Now once the developer finishes the coding, they move that to a state of completed. So any user story which is completed refers to it is development complete, but it yet needs to be tested. And once the testers, they finish the testing and they feel that everything is as intended, they move this user story to accepted. So this is the life cycle of the user story. Also, when you look at the sprint here, you see that it talks about how many points you delivered, uh, and it gives you a complete velocity. Currently, we just have one story which is of 5 points, so you just see one 5 of velocity. But ideally, it'll be the addition of all the 7 user story points down here. Another thing that could be done as a part of testing is you can end up creating defects. So this story also, this tool also allows you to create defects along with this. So if you are testing and if you come across any defects, there's an option of defects. So currently there are no defects, but let's say if you want to create a defect for this user story, you click on add and you want to give the name for the defect, but we want to create this with a lot of details. So I'm going to click on that. So the name for this defect is, we'll say that uh, apply promo code button does not work. So in here you say, in the description you say, I performed the following steps. Number 1, entered promo code. Number 2, clicked apply promo button. However, when I click apply promo code button, the validation of promo code does not happen and the page remains stagnant. So to me, this is a pretty high critical defect because this is the main thing. So again, in this owner field, I'm going to pick the name of the owner, which is the developer who worked on this. And then this is related to this user story. It's related to release October 28, iteration is October 28, sprint 1. What environment this is. So pretty much this is in the test environment right now. Priority and severity, they are the same. So we normally use either one of them. You see severity, crash, data loss, major, minor, cosmetic. Priority, resolve immediately, high attention, normal, low. So I'm going to put this as resolve immediately. You can always customize whatever you want to see here in the drop down. And then you click on create. So when you do this, this defect gets associated with this user story. And the defect is always marked as DE as a prefix. So this is DE1. Now if I take you to the user story, if we go back again to plan, so you also see now a defect that has been created. Another thing is when you open the user story, you're also going to see a defect here that is associated because they are both connected. So that's how you end up creating a defect. So again, what the developer going to do is they're going to move this to in progress when they are working on the defect. And then once they finish working on the defect, they're going to move this to completed. And once the testers, they resolve the defect and they test everything and they feel that yes, this is good, they change the state to fixed, complete. You save it and this gets resolved. And then pretty much you move this to accepted, meaning that has been resolved. And now since this is resolved, this is working fine as well, and I'm going to move this to accepted as well. So this is how you create a defect in rally. So I think this is pretty much what you do in rally on a day-to-day activities. There's nothing much more in rally that you would do that I've not covered here. I hope this video helps, and you can always go on rally. You can subscribe for a trial version. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck to get a trial version because they don't give you an access immediately to this. You have to put in a request. They'll take their own sweet time. They say they'll take 2 business days to give you access. It just takes more than 2 business days, and they'll finally give you a user ID and password that you can log in with. So I hope this video helps and wish you all the best. Thank you.